All right, what's going on, everybody? Coming back with another little word for this evening as we give God the honor, the glory, and all the praise. My title says, Small Creatures That Are Very Wise Creatures. Y'all know a lot of times I like to come on here and do videos about certain animals, certain insects. And we talked about the lamb, the lion. We talked about so much, the eagles, the ants. And I want to go back to Proverbs chapter 30, verses 24 through 28 is what I'm talking about here, because if you just have time to spend with the animals and insects, we can learn so much from them. We can learn a whole lot from watching the beautiful creatures that God created. And I always like to take time out and just watch the birds, watch the dogs, the cats, the animals, period. I love to watch animals and how they survive. I like to look at the Discovery Channel a lot. And this morning as I was leaving, man, this big old rabbit came out of nowhere. He must have been the granddad. He was so big, just sitting in the middle of the yard like he owned it. Big old rabbit. And when I saw that rabbit, I thought about raccoons and squirrels and badgers. And when I thought about that, I thought about going back to the Bible. Wisdom in creatures. And some of these creatures are walking around here more wise than us. Some of us, I can say. And when you look at the ants, the badgers, the locusts, the lizards, and the spiders. And if you don't know what the badger is they're going at pretty much, it's real small. It looks like a raccoon. If you're in the country, I know you see them a lot. But it kind of looks like a raccoon with them sharp front claws on it. And it has them white stripes on their cheeks. And then they got that one stripe running from their nose. It come down the middle of them all the way to the back of their head. That's that badger. But when I thought back to the ants, I always watch ants and how they store up. And ants, they ain't that strong. But when they line up, it's a whole lot of them. Don't you know that ants store away food in the summer? Don't you know they all help each other out when it might be a grasshopper that's dead. They get in one big line and you'll see them if you just happen to be watching them. They all carrying that big old bug because they know they all gonna eat. They storing up, they working together. I said this before, if we could learn to get on one accord like the ants, boy, we'll do some show enough damage to this old devil. Getting on one accord like these creatures are doing, learning so much from them. They help each other out. What's wrong with us? What is wrong with us? If you mow in the yard and you run over their bed, they ant bed, that don't stop them. A few hours later, they have another bed on the other side of the yard, or about a few feet away from where you ran over them at. They don't let nothing stop them. They keep on going because they know they got to survive. If we had that mentality once again to work together, because people don't understand we need each other now more than we ever needed before. We need each other because next to our Heavenly Father, all we have is each other. And if we can't work together, then we're going to stay divided up. And the devil loves division. Think about that badger. Badger not powerful either. Not real strong. But they make their homes in the rocks. They sure do. They can escape. They can get away from stuff. And then there's the locusts, as Proverbs say. The locusts, it's awesome. The Bible say they don't have a king, but they march together in ranks. When I think about the locusts, that's how Israel's supposed to have been, because Israel didn't need no king. All they needed was God, but they kept complaining. So when I look at a locust, I sometimes think about Israel, think about so much. They didn't have a king at all, but they marched together in ranks. All Israel had to do was stick together with each other. Didn't need no king. We learn a lot from these animals. We learn a lot. Look at a lizard. Look at how they live. And one thing about me, when I see lizards around my house, I don't never kill them because they eat away them old insects that I can't stand. But when you look at how a lizard live, if you quick enough, you can catch a lizard. Yeah, you can catch them in your hands. But when you look at them where they stay, don't you know that lizards, they are in king palaces? Check out how they live. These animals, all of them, they survive due to natural instincts. When you look closely at all these creatures I'm talking about, they plan. They stick together. Once again, what's wrong with us? These insects are showing us that planning and being organized and laboring is better than strength. Oh, man. Because they're not that strong. See, the strongest man in the world can be the weakest man in the world. Oh, I'm reminded of Samson. Samson had all that strength. But when it came to Delilah, he was just as weak as them ants outside. These creatures, once again, showed us planning, laboring, and being organized, being on one accord, is better than strength. So since they wasn't strong, they come together in numbers. Uh-oh. Let me say this as this thought just hit my mind. It's kind of funny because if these ants, it's just a thought, if these ants could pastor a church instead of living in the churchyard and the old deacon quit running over them with that lawnmower, if the ants could pastor a church, it'll be a whole lot of good churches up, y'all. Because why? Them ants plan, they store up, they on one accord. Here go the other thing, they don't beg. They go out and get there. Somebody catch that in a minute. They may be little. These animals, these creatures, they may be real small. But look at what they accomplish. They small, but they accomplish some big things. This is something else about the ants. Look at where they live. The ants live in the communities. Y'all feel where I'm going with this? The ants live in communities and work together as a unit and survive through planning and labor once again. They live in the community. Somebody hearing what I'm saying now. We got people in the communities who can't stand each other and wouldn't dare work together. We got churches on one street, so many of them that won't even fellowship with each other, won't even praise, won't worship, won't go out and help the community. But these ants, they live in the community, stack up, survive. They ain't worried about nothing. Even the spider. Look at how the spider works and winds up in big places. Spider smart. Throw them webs out there. Oh, that's food. I can store up food too. And I can even store my food up way up in the corner in the crack of a building. Look at how long a spider can keep food. And once that spider web is out, it ain't nothing the other little creatures can do to get out of it. They just got to sit there and worry about getting ate up. If we could throw some webs out here and catch some Christian folks doing good, catch some old good humble folks together and store them up inside of some of these church buildings, oh, what kind of church would we really have? These creatures are resourceful and can make their home in inaccessible places. Even in the palace. Places where we dream about being. Now I said all that to say this as I close. Think of how wise the serpent is. I'll leave y'all with that. God bless you.